Okay, here it is. I saw a movie, so you don't have to. And boy, you really don't have to. Let's talk about The Flash. Here we go. So not to bury the lead here, The Flash is a terrible film. This is a film that never should have been made. And again, I've said this before, it's only tangentially related to the storyline about Flashpoint. It's as related to Flashpoint as the Superman original franchise with Christopher Reeve is related to Brewster's Million.
Brewster? Montgomery Brewster?
Flash is a pointless film. In the end, it is absolutely pointless, and it gives us one of the best Batman.
Dear Blade.
And leaves us at the end with one of the worst.
Leave the cave without it.
I'm going to do my very best not to include spoilers here, but it's going to be very hard.
That's what she said.
Because, well, you probably already know them. First and foremost, there's a ton of cameos in this, some of them very much wasted, and one that I thought was, despite its rubbery appearance, pretty cool. And yes, the appearance of Nick Cage is, well, something that I think a lot of people will go gaga for, although it's not as satisfying as you would hope. Also, if you watch the Comics Division channel on Thursday Night Throwdown, you probably saw me losing my mind on this film using a lot of colorful language, which I tend not to do. I'm a little more reserved, especially here on my channel, but I did not appreciate the appearance of Christopher Reeve's Superman with, well, whatever that Supergirl woman thing was supposed to be in that particular cameo. And speaking of cameos, here's one you already knew was going to be there: Wonder Woman. Now, to be fair, Wonder Woman appears on the screen for only about 90 seconds, and in that, without giving spoilers away, she's able to emasculate and pretty much destroy the masculinity of both Barry, played by Ezra Miller, and of course, Batman, played by Ben Affleck. It's very disturbing, frustrating, and, well, just a little bit embarrassing to say the least. But one of my bigger complaints absolutely has to be this thing called CGI, which all of these films just make use of way too often. Practical effects seemingly have been abandoned in favor of showing us a bunch of rubbery, stretchy things that couldn't possibly exist in the real world. And of course, don't get me started, but the microwave and a baby thing is real. Yes, it's real.
I'll put you in a microwave.
The film completely abandons any idea of physics or anything else when it comes to the speed force that Barry is supposed to be able to move around within, essentially slowing time to a crawl, but yet not affecting things physically in the world around him. You only have to go through the opening scene to realize that this film just basically, well, put the baby in the microwave, put the indie in the fridge. It's the same thing now, they're synonymous. They know this film is bad, and Warner Brothers, for all their efforts, has pulled out every single big gun trick they possibly could, including getting stars unrelated to the film to, well, speak about it glowingly. And whether or not you believe that Tom Cruise enjoyed this film or that James Gunn is heaping praise upon it is irrelevant. The film is god-awful. And it's showing up in the box office. In previews, the film came off with $9.7 million, and no matter what Shill tries to tell you that that's a good number, they're lying to you. And many people out there are probably going to point to the fact that there is a counter-programming film or two out there in the sphere, which would include Elemental and The Blackening. I can assure you that the $2.4 million preview that Elemental enjoyed had zero impact on this film. In fact, the two big budget films together netted about $12 million in previews on Thursday, going into a Friday, Saturday, Sunday that is looking rather dismal. Say what you will about this Ezra Miller film, but this Ezra Miller film had an Ezra Miller problem, and that was too many Ezra Millers. There were 3 of them at one point. Sorry, spoiler, but you probably already knew that because you were told that. You've been told that through the trades in various locations, so it's not really a spoiler, is it? Not to mention the fact at this point, spoiling this film couldn't help it or hurt it any at all. Now, the storyline you're rather familiar with, or at least parts of it. You know for a fact that Barry's mother has passed away. You've probably seen the Grant Gustin version on CW, which started out with 2 very strong seasons. This film has nothing in common with that show, and yet, obviously, the events and the situation that Barry's father finds himself in are remarkably similar. And truly the only thing that actually holds this film together in any way doesn't have anything to do with The Flash. It has to do with Michael Keaton's Batman from the classic Batman 89. And look, I'll say, I'm a little bit of a fanboy when it comes to Michael Keaton's Batman. It was one of the first huge movies of my time, 1989. The problem here is that this film leans on that particular film as, well, a crutch. And let me tell you, it wasn't supporting the weight of just how ridiculous this film, The Flash, was. But as I said, seeing Michael Keaton in this particular role, well, it was satisfying to a certain extent. And then, of course, he did the thing, and he said the thing, and now it's a meme. Ultimately, of the new things added to this storyline, well, I have to say, Sasha Calle's Supergirl, Superwoman, whatever she's portraying here, was a breath of fresh air. She certainly could have played this not Superman, Supergirl, Superwoman character very, very well. But she's not in the film very long, and that's kind of, well, a problem. In fact, the problems for this film are many, and the solutions, well, the solution, you shouldn't have made the film. But ultimately that gets me to the entire point of this review video, which is this: don't go see this film. There are many other things you can do with your money. This is one of the worst things I've seen in a very long time. I've used this phrase a few times on various channels when I've been describing my experience here and where I would rate the film. And oftentimes people ask me to rate things on a scale of 1 to 10, and I usually don't do that well. I like to be in that 5-star range category, but for this, I'll make an exception. This film I had originally rated at a 4, but then I remembered I gave Elemental a slightly lower score, or sitting maybe at a 4 itself, so I had to change my scale. You can slide Flash right underneath Elementals, and guess what? That's probably exactly where it belongs. It is smelling the butt of Elementals, which is probably one of the worst superhero films ever made. So a 3.9 for Ezra Miller's The Flash, and a standalone film that required a whole lot of cameos just to hold its weight. If I revert back to my 5-star system, this thing gets a 1.5 stars, and that's probably being kind. Maybe 1 3/4. And what speaks to me more often than not when it comes to doing these film reviews is the fact that everybody that I'm talking to has the same opinion, and we all have 100 better ideas that would fix what we got on the screen, which tells me the people in Hollywood just don't have any ideas. So for now, I'm just gonna leave it here. You can save your money, don't go see this film. If you watch it on streaming, well, that's on you, because I warned you. And at the end of this box office run, I have a feeling not only will this thing flop, it's going to lose Warner even more money. But they can rest assured and rest very well at night that Disney will have lost far more money this year than even they did. And that's saying something. Maybe you had a similar one. I would love to hear about it, which is why, if you wouldn't mind, use the comments section down below and let me know. As a matter of fact, there are about 40% of you out there right now that have not subscribed to the channel. And let me tell you, that I would appreciate more than anything. If you would just subscribe, it'll get me closer to my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the middle of July. I think it's a very attainable goal. You guys have been killing it lately, and look, I appreciate every single one of you. Also, it makes sure that you won't miss anything, because I've been producing content regularly going on 3 years now, and you'll start to see the live streams more and more frequently. You'll also be able to keep track of the guest appearances that I make, and for the most part, those are pretty good too. And with that, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.